Hey everybody, how you guys doing? Welcome to the Geek and I. Tonight we have a special guest, but first let's go to our co-host Jeff. Jeff, how are you, sir?
Doing most excellent, brother. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. What have you been up to this week?
Playing video games.
That's about all you do, right?
No, I do other things like playing video games.
Okay. And our special guest tonight, all the way from, do you want to give out your secret location?
The Island of Long.
Okay.
It's. I thought you could say the Bates Motel.
My good
really
friend.
No difference.
Marty. Marty, how are you?
Doing good, John. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here tonight.
My
We
pleasure.
really appreciate it. It is October, and Jeff, you want to tell them what the idea you had for tonight's episode was?
Well, I was thinking, Halloween's here. People like to hear stories, ghost stories, spooky stories. But I was thinking, you know what? What better story to tell than something about real life horror?
And real life horror. When you think of that, who do you think the granddaddy? Who would you say is the granddaddy of real life horror?
Well, back in the 50s, around Wisconsin. Now, I'm not talking about the Packers. I'm talking about Ed Gein.
And what is he known? What is he known for?
Well, let's not dive in too deep right now. Let's show a little bit about this guy, the mystery, the man, and the history that not only inspire others to create movies, but let's talk about his personal horror and how he became phenomenal for what he did, his crimes.
Well, I don't know if the word phenomenal is what you're looking for.
I would think in serial killer circles, probably.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe yeah. Around the serial killer water.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Around the water cooler of serial killers, he's phenomenal. So let's check out a little video Jeff put together for Ed. Did you say Gein, or is it Gein?
I believe it's Gein.
Gein. I pronounce it Gein, but
Gein.
Gein?
Okay.
Yeah. Every documentary I've heard, they pronounce it Ed Gein.
Gein. Gein. I don't know. I pronounce it wrong, probably.
Okay. Well, let's check this out. Hold on.
Ed Gein was a kind of meek, unremarkable man. There's something eerie about that.
Gein was digging up bodies, but what he did with the body parts is extraordinary. Gein was so enmeshed with his mother that he wanted to become his mother.
Ed Gein had inspired Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ed Gein was Norman Bates, and Norman Bates was Ed Gein.
What he was like as a person was extremely unique. You see in his house, too, it's an exteriorization of his own mind.
What did you intend to do with their body? What parts would you take home? Who helped you when you got them out of the graves? Would you enjoy it while you were doing it?
I really didn't think.
How long have you known Mr. 7 years? 7 years. What kind of a man did you know him as? Well, a man is a nice man, just like anybody else. The only difference I'd say in the man, he seems to be a little hot.
Wow. So he was actually like all three of these serial killers?
You mean like
You mean his pathology,
Go ahead, Marty.
the way he worked? Like when you say he was like all three of these serial killers.
Well, I mean, they mentioned the Norman Bates, and they mentioned the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I thought the guy from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was somebody different.
Lyndon Johnson. He definitely inspired them. You know,
was he a president? The president?
Well, he was from Texas. It's the first thing that popped into my mind. He definitely inspired them. And when you go back and look at some of these films, or even articles written at the time, they clearly acknowledge that he was a total influence on it. And there have been countless other movies that are almost a note for note telling of that story. One from 1974 is a film called Deranged. And the actor's name is escaping me now, but he played the old man in Home Alone.
Okay.
Yeah, played the Ed Gein character. Actually, there was a movie a couple of years ago with Steve Railsback called Ed Gein, which is actually a pretty good flick. And I won't say it's 100% accurate, but it's very close. And the casting was excellent too. A lot of the people in the story, if you've watched any of these documentaries, really resemble the people that Ed was involved with and sadly took their lives. So, and I'd even say parts of Hannibal Lecter were probably inspired by him.
So,
I'm not sure he ate anybody though. I think he just liked taking their skin off and wearing it.
Yeah, which Hannibal Lecter did do at one point, when he cut the face off the guard and put it on to escape. Yeah, you got to remember before this all happened, this was the mid-50s, law enforcement had never come across anything like this before. Not to this extent. And what's amazing is after he was captured and after he was found insane, he spent the rest of his life in an insane asylum where he was considered a model patient. And I don't think they ever really kind of locked into what they know why the psychosis happened, but they don't know how he got so far away, how he got so broken, which is really, I think, the tragedy of this. Well, you have a human being who resorts to these kind of actions that any rational person could not even begin to fathom. And, he kind of brought the thought that the possibility of this kind of person could be out there into the American psyche. And I think he launched, in a lot of ways, the next great kind of horror suspense industry as far as Hollywood goes. Remember, previous to this, a lot of the horror movies were Frankenstein and Dracula and the Gill Man. And now suddenly we had real life monsters who could be your neighbor next door. And honestly, it's because of the Ed Gein story.
So according to Wikipedia, he is known as the Butcher of Plainfield, or the Plainfield Ghoul, from Plainfield, Wisconsin. And his early childhood, let's see, he said that he attended school, left the house and attended school. He spent most of his time doing chores on the farm. He was shy, and classmates and teachers remembered him as having strange mannerisms, such as seemingly random laughter. You know, that's usually somebody just breaks out laughing for no reason. That's usually a good sign
that they've been elected president of the United States.
Yeah.
Yes, You're absolutely right. That unexpected kind of oscillation and unusual, I think they call it pseudo bulbar effect, where you laugh at inappropriate times or suddenly burst out crying. He did have a tough childhood.
You know what his first murder was?
Was it his brother?
And it was an accident too.
Yep.
Yep.
Supposedly an accident. So, he came from a very domineering
Well,
mother.
his brother can't be there to help tell the story, So.
Yeah, well, that's true. From what I understand, his mother was a domineering woman, a strong, overly strong presence in his life, and that's a lot of that is drawn into Psycho. And the thing is, like, it wasn't only that he was digging up bodies; he also murdered several people. And there's no pleasant way to put this. He gutted them like deer. Had lampshades made of human skin, just out there bizarro stuff.
So it says here, a sheriff's deputy discovered Warden's body. So I guess Fred Warden.
I think it's Mary Warden. Wasn't it the tavern keeper he killed?
It's a sheriff's deputy.
The first public person.
Yeah.
A sheriff's deputy discovered Warden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property.
Oh, I think that was the storekeeper. There was a storekeeper he killed. Yeah, that was this. Yep.
Yes. Yes. It says Frank. Yeah. It says Frank Warden told investigators that on the evening before his mother's disappearance, Gein had been seen in the store, was to have returned the next morning for a gallon of antifreeze. And the sales slip for the antifreeze was the last receipt written by Warden. That evening, Gein was arrested at the West Plainfield grocery store by the sheriff's department when they discovered Warden's decapitated body in a shed on the property, hung upside down by her legs, with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes around her wrists. And it was dressed out like a deer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I tell you what, man. If I was a cop, talking about the 1950s here, that'll scare the shit out of me, man. Just coming across all this stuff, because it's something that's never been heard of, and they didn't know how to approach it to the public too, because they just have to, talk a little bit about it. But as the progress of him being captured, the trial, the publicity, eventually these days, because we're all jailed, it's horrific in my mind, but others back then, it was just unheard of, unbelievable. And once again, like you saw in the video, the neighbor, he was a quiet guy. It's always the quiet ones, man.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to before, that the impact that this had on the American psyche really can't be overestimated. It was a wake-up call. And what I find the most amazing part, you're talking about middle America, 1950s, how someone didn't put a bullet in his head when they found out what was going on. Just amazes me. The restraint that was shown, especially for that era, when they discovered the extent of what he had done. I know.
Yeah, really, because, there's a list here of things that they found when they were searching his house. Whole human bones and fragments, a wastebasket made of human skin. So this guy is kind of like, who was the guy in the pit from...
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill, yeah. So this guy's kind of like Buffalo Bill.
Or even Leatherface. The scene at the dining room table and the furniture made of bones. So, again... That's the influence that he had.
So let me ask you this: the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was that an actual event, or is that movie made up from what this guy did, or is it because I know, you know, we were set to take a before COVID hit, we were set to take a trip down there to go look at the Texas Chainsaw House. So is that a real thing? Did that?
Which is now a diner. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say it's a restaurant, right?
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yep. But then again, this is not the house that he committed the crimes in. This is the house he used to film the movie.
Yeah.
Fact versus fiction, you know.
You know,
Marty, I know you want to talk.
You know, I've never been able to figure out with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everything I've read, that they really hyped it up, that it was based on a true story. But when pressed on what true story, the answer has changed, or people have said, nah, it wasn't based on a true story. We're just trying to sell a movie. But definitely, Gein was definitely one of the influences. You know, one person drops a chainsaw in their foot on Texas, and suddenly it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know how you guys love your tall tales down there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Was that a real place, or, you know, is that just, was it a location for the movie?
It was a real house, and I think and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually moved the house, didn't they, from where it originally was to where it's
in Wisconsin.
No, not at Gein's house.
No.
I'm talking
you guys are getting your the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the house itself, movie set, all that. Would okay? Never happened in Texas. It happened in Wisconsin.
Right, and that so, was what it's based on.
That being said,
go
ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll wait.
No, there's a little lag, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, man. You know, because based upon my stuff, you know, because when I went to college, I was studying film. And that was part of my. And you know, when we studied, because writing, when I started writing, I wanted to know fact versus fiction, when to fabricate, when to fluff it up, and stuff like that. And one of the fine examples they took was Hitchcock in his directing aspect. And, you know, going with horror, you know, the fluffiness of story, it sounds better in Texas than it does in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Massacre, you know, it's kind of like, you know,
that's
Aaron
what
Rodgers
happens when you eat.
Play for the Jets now.
Right, that's what happens when you eat too much cheese. The Wisconsin Massacre.
Yeah, and then nobody would believe.
But I know the Packers guys are still watching this. Or no harm, guys.
Yeah,
go ahead, Marty. Go ahead.
No one would believe Leatherface running around with one of those wedge cheese things on top of his head. It's just not scary. But I think what John was saying.
I tell you what, though.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead, man.
Just keep going. Just keep talking.
Okay.
Who, me or Marty?
You.
You. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So anyway, sorry, man. I don't mean to interrupt you guys, but
no, go ahead.
To get my thought across, you know, basically, you know, you have to get the audience reeled in. And Texas and the film itself, and talking with the one person I know that's still alive from the movie, he said that the realism was important to the storyline. And a farmhouse in the field during the summer was more entertaining than deep in the winter in Wisconsin. So yeah, I mean all the stuff that you read and the documentaries that you saw. I'm not talking about films. I'm talking about documentaries about Ed and what he did was really heavily played in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now the mother factor and the dad and the talking of crimes, that was something they played upon in, I believe, the defense with Psycho. If you get a chance to read the book, it is really good.
Yeah.
Based upon the Hitchcock movie. and it really kind of leans more towards his psyche. So, you know, you want to go for the slasher part, you got Texas Chainsaw, you can go for the psychic part, you know, why he did what he did, what's causing him to, you know, do what he does. They firmly believe that he was trying to commune and become his mother. And that was something that really blew people's minds. And once again, we're talking about the mid-50s here.
Yep.
Now, was that because, do you think that was because his mother, was he obsessed with his mother, or did his mother pass away early in life and he just thought that would bring her back?
I think she was the last one alive in the family before he was left alone, because his brother and his mom was still alive. His dad passed, and there's them two boys trying to keep up the farm, and his mom having the controlling factor. And I believe, you know, he slept in his mother's bed. Was one of the things. A lot of things, you know, similar to what they're telling in Psycho, was part of, you know, the psyche, you know, level of the storyline.
And I'll tell you, Ed influenced Psycho so much. Like, if you read the description of Norman Bates in the book, it's nothing like Norman Bates in the movie. Norman Bates in the movie is more like matches Ed Gein's description and characteristics. It's just very interesting that it turned out that way. In the book, you know, Norman Bates is more of a middle-aged, you know, fatter, balding guy. And
that's all of us.
So literally, Norman Bates could slip into any sci-fi convention and be overlooked. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting too, that ultimately when it went to screen, they got somebody who, you know, mirrored Ed's appearance, the gauntly, skinny kind of, you know.
Talk about Anthony, what's his name? Perkins?
Tony Perkins. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I found interesting about that was Hitchcock, when he saw the book, he wanted to own the rights to it immediately because of what he wanted to do with it. And he wanted to concentrate on one part of the whole, you know, control of the storyline. I thought that was at the beginning, before people start realizing if you don't own the rights, you can't really tell your story the way you can without people interfering. And I thought that was really, really cool about Hitchcock.
So he did he get the rights? I guess he got the rights for the book, and then, or did he just?
He brought the rights, and he did Psycho.
Yep. And at the time, Universal wanted no part of it. They were like, "This is a horrible story. No one's going to go see it." They wanted to bury it. Then there was talk of, let's not do it as a movie, do it as a 2-part episode on Alfred Hitchcock Presents. They really wanted no part of it. And Hitchcock believed in the story so much, he bankrolled it himself and let Universal distribute it. And it was probably the best decision of his career.
So there are a few movies, I guess, that you could say we have. We just discussed a couple of them: Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What else did we mention? Did you Deranged?
Deranged.
So there are a few that are based on this guy, but then there's also some that are based on real life events, and I'd like to see what you guys know about these things, because you know, something that's based on actual, you know, not really true story, but more actual events, and like Jeff, you say, is fluffed up for the audience. What do you guys know about the difference between the real story and the screen story, shall we say? So let's kick it off with The Exorcist. What do you guys know about The Exorcist?
Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. In the true story version, the possessed was a boy, I believe. And I think it was Connecticut, but I could be wrong about the location. And the story that Blatty wrote very closely mirrors what happened. I think it was in the 40s or the early 50s again when it actually took place. Interesting enough, as a Catholic, we had a sanctioned archdiocesan exorcist up until 2008. Not every priest can perform an exorcism. You have to be specially trained. So I'm a little nervous that since 2008, there's been no local exorcist around here.
Well, that's
if we should need one. And I found out the hard way because I was trying to get one exorcism for my kids, and there's a waiting list like you wouldn't believe now. It's so.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Thank you. I knew it was coming.
There you
go. That may be the only time that sound effect has been used in conjunction with a conversation about the Exorcist. So,
yeah. So,
well, growing up Catholic too, you know, I heard stories. There was the diocese that was heavily talked about. That was something that's not talked about in public, but behind closed doors, yes, that does exist. Yes, this does happen, but if handled by people that can handle it, because that was the truth. And I'm a firm believer of good versus evil. People being taken over by evil and the level of exorcism that needed to be, that's something that I've never experienced, never seen in person, never heard a first person talk about, but it's very interesting to me. And I still, to this day, that movie, The Exorcist, when I first saw it, freaked me out. To this day, I'll watch it. I still get those goosebumps,
Right.
Especially if you turn the lights out and watch it. Holy cow. You do get creeped out.
But that's why you're supposed to watch it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to watch movies in the dark. Come on.
I start with the lights out, and then with this one, the lights start going on just, here and there. But yeah.
Now, what do you think about the new flick?
I'm going to go see it. I'm already hearing that it's pure crap. But I
heard the opposite, but go ahead.
Again, that's what I heard early on. Now I'm hearing the reviews are terrible. So usually when the reviews are terrible, it's probably fantastic. I'm fascinated by this subject. I've seen the movies. I watched 2 seasons of the TV show, which I thought was excellent and was canceled far too early. Which was the first season was a quasi sequel to the movie. The second one kind of went off on its own direction, but it was great. Why do we keep coming back to these stories? And I think it's exactly what you said, Jeff. It's that this concept of good and evil, balance. And, I hate to be cynical, but look at the world around us. For the past 75 years, we're told that these kind of ideas are ancient and have no place in a modern world. Maybe they do. Maybe that's why we're in the situation we're in right now.
Yeah. It's scary when you think about how I don't know if you want to use the word evil is taking over, but there is something dark around the corner, and it is.
You always
it is
have to have a balance in life.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what George Lucas said for the Sith and the Jedi. They balance each other out, and if one is taken down, the other takes over.
The one thing, if you sit back and look at the universe, it loves balance. There's a yin to every yang. There's a opposite reaction for every reaction. So why would good and evil be any different?
Yep.
And I agree with what you said, John. It's around the corner, but it's presenting as evil with the small e, when it's probably evil with a big E, just pretending to be a little evil. And politics aside, religious beliefs aside, there's definitely lines being drawn, and you kind of wonder, like, what is going on? Like, and societies change. They do. They evolve. It's part of nature. But, like, I think the last 25 years, I've seen it changing at such a rapid, almost artificial rate. You have to wonder, why? What's pushing this? It's almost like there is something going on, and we're kind of caught in the middle right now. But until we acknowledge that, yes, there's good and yes, there's bad, you can't have one without the other. You have to look evil in the eye and call it out. And I think that's ultimately what The Exorcist is about, is that, you want to talk about calling evil in the eye, you walk in there and you go head to head with that. I mean, it's, could you think of anything more frightening?
Yeah, well, there is more frightening, and it is this thing.
Yes.
And this is from. Now, is this one of his victims? Is this what he?
No, that's Grandpa.
I've never seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've never.
Man.
Nope. You know what? There's going to be a lot on this list that I have not watched. It's almost, I would say 90%. I have not seen this list.
Okay, so
see, as a kid growing up in the 70s, I had cousins that went to see that, and a lot of times they would go to the drive-ins because they showed multiple films. But I was told that was most horrific film. You won't be scared. Watch this film. And I was forbidden by my parents not to ever watch it because it's too scary. It would be, and this was before I was reading about Ed or even saw Psycho. This was my first experience with horror. They said this is what you can't see, and then I was so curious. I think it was like 16, maybe, or 17. It was a friend of mine had a videotape of it. And man, I got maybe 30 minutes into it and I was out. I was like, nah, this is not for me. I did see it eventually. I still own it. But it is really a scary film.
And it's not gory. It's not as gory as you would think a film called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre would be. I avoided it for years because I like scary. I can deal with gory, but, a lot of gore, over the top gore, without comedy, I don't want to watch. I just think it doesn't work well together. This is more suspenseful and true horror than it is gore. And I think, again, the promotional machine was in full gear. This is the, you give it a name like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're expecting buckets and buckets of bloods and chainsaws and limbs going off. It's not that. And I would definitely recommend you find 2 hours and sit down and watch it.
See, that's what was what was holding me back is, I'm not into
in the dark.
I'm not into, like you say, blood flowing down the stairs and stuff like that, unless it's, like a scene from The Shining where it's just flowing out of an elevator door. I know that's not going to happen.
Right. I mean, I'll watch it, but Bruce Campbell better be in it. That's my only exception.
Yeah.
So
next we have Freddy Krueger, who I think wasn't he based on something that actually happened, or
he was.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. He
I just remember years and years later after I saw this film. By the way, this is Johnny Depp's first movie. For those who are Johnny Depp fans and don't know it, but this film for me, I watched it and I was more interested in how someone could go in your dreams and kill you, because I'm a big heavy dreamer. But when I heard, I was watching this, I don't know how many years, but when I was told he was a child molester that the neighborhood people went after and killed him, which is why he was more into their dreams. of going after these people because he couldn't do it physically because he's dead. That's something that was intriguing to me. I didn't pick up on that till years later.
Yeah, Wes Craven actually said it's based on a true story that happened in the Philippines, where a whole bunch of people were getting sleep deprived over nightmares and stuff, and they were dying in their sleep. So, yeah, it's based on a true story, apparently. I mean, there's nothing more frightening. Like, we've all had bad dreams. I had one last week, and I was trying to scream in the dream, and unfortunately, it slipped out while I was unconscious, and my son came running in thinking I was having a heart attack. But, yeah, I mean, there's no fright for me like the fright inside of a nightmare. You know, there's scary.
That's where you get the phrase "scared to death."
Yeah. I always kind of have a soft spot in my heart for Freddy because he was definitely hitting his prime when I was in junior high school and high school. And yeah, I just wish that they would do more with him today, but that remake was terrible.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that one.
Yeah, I didn't like the subplot of, oh, he was innocent. Oh, no, actually, he was guilty. Like, you know, where were we going with that? But,
he was phenomenal.
Wes Craven, that's the reason why that guy was an excellent director, and what he did, it was excellent. And even, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, I believe Dokken did the soundtrack. It was big in the, you know, heavy metal. And when they did the soundtrack, I was like, okay, I saw the first and second one. I skipped the third. I went to the fourth just to see, because it's about the Dream Keeper, I believe it was called. And that really intrigued me.
Dream Warriors, wasn't it? That was the
Dream
Dokken song. Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors, yeah. And then I think the Dream Master.
Yeah.
And then the last one scored by Gary Wright.
Now, Freddy versus Jason, I like that one.
I'm in the minority. I love that film. And I know a lot of people bash that movie, but I thought that was fantastic.
Nah. I thought it was a great mashup. If we'll put one against the other, those are the two. I'm waiting for a sequel to that one, because I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Love that movie.
That's another one I haven't seen. So next up is Child's Play. And it says a script was based on a nurse who allegedly put a voodoo curse on author Robert Eugene Otto, which transformed one of his childhood dolls into a nighttime menace. So it says we have seen scary movies with possessed dolls, but knowing that the doll really existed is spooky. So,
well, didn't the Warrens have that with Annabelle, the real Annabelle doll too, the cursed doll, the haunted doll?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I see,
and it's sealed away for protection.
Yep, it's under glass. I've seen pictures of it. I'm too spooked to go see it in person.
I would go near that place. As many people said, it's encased. I'm like, nah, man. I'll just take your word for it. I'm not messing with that.
Yeah, no, not going to do it. If this is based on a true story, I've never heard that before. So that's really interesting.
That's news to me.
Well, it's
and you know what? I didn't see this. I saw this movie once. I just remember hearing. I saw the original, then heard the Bride of Chucky. Meg Tilly, I believe that's her name, was in it, and I was interested in her because she was in the Big Chill. So I was like, okay, let's see what this chick's up to lately. But when Mark Hamill started voicing him, I thought that was cool.
Oh, when they did the remake, yeah, with the AI gone bad,
right?
Yeah, they got away.
Well,
from
I really thought Mark Hamill brought it to the table to energize the franchise.
Listen, Mark Hamill brings everything to the table. I just saw him in The Machine this weekend, and he was fantastic.
Dude, that's excellent, right?
Yep.
Man,
Yep.
if you haven't seen it, John, you gotta check it out, man. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
Mike and I watched it a couple of nights ago, and it was pretty. It kind of reminds me of like, what is that, Bullet Train type of thing? It's, you know, it's got some action that's got comedy mixed in, and it was actually pretty good. I don't think I finished it, but we were watching it.
You should. It's really good. It's really good.
So this one is up in your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, right out here on Long Island, the famous house in Amityville, which does not resemble the house anymore.
That's why I couldn't find it.
You're not going to find it. They completely remodeled it. They took those classic windows out. They've done everything they can to change the look of that house to keep the looky-loos away. And for the longest time, it was like a rite of passage up here that at a certain age, you would have to drive past that house, especially come October. I believe they also changed the traffic patterns that you couldn't go directly by it anymore because it got that bad.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, supposedly based on a true story, but then I hear they've recanted over the years. You know, I really want to believe this one is true, but you know, I don't know. I don't know.
Now, I thought the original storyline was about a son that was turned to murder, and it's his family. It wasn't the supernatural.
Yeah,
it was
Ronnie
more
DeFeo.
something different.
Yeah, Ronnie DeFeo murdered his family, and in that house, he killed his mother, his father, a brother, 2 sisters, something like that. He's still in jail for it today.
Yeah.
He's still alive, and you know, I think he was totally drugged out of his mind. The family had mob connections. I think HBO, or it might have been Showtime, did a documentary about 2 years ago on it, which was fascinating. Kind of dug into that case a lot more. And I think the family that moved in got a house, got a good bargain on it. That in itself is fiction on Long Island. And, you know, then had buyer's regret and came up with the ghost story.
Okay. All right. You think that's the way it worked out?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the way this one worked out. I mean, there have been several other families who've lived in the house over the years, and nobody has said anything about anything weird going on.
And we sure it wasn't the producers of the movie?
No, remember, it was a book first. So the Amityville Horror was a book first, and again, somebody snatched up the rights, and the book and the movie are very similar. And I haven't read the book in a long time.
Yeah.
It's in fact, it's almost verbatim what's in the movie. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, like
what
I said,
I enjoyed the most about it, John.
I've never been able to find it. You know, I've driven past it. You know, we've gone on our late nights after getting out of, you know, bars and stuff, driving like, hey, we're down here in Nassau, so let's go see if we can find the Amityville Horror House, and we've never been able to find it.
They changed the address too.
Well, this is before Google, so you know we were just driving around trying to figure out where it would be, and we were never able to find the actual house.
That's why you need somebody hanging out at the
Was
side
it the
with a
90s?
PK meter, waiting for it to go up.
What period was this, John? Was it the 90s you're looking for it?
Probably, yeah. You know, I got my driver's license in 1986, 87, and you know, it was probably, you know, I think you had to be 21 to go to a bar, because every time I got close, they raised the age, and
Yeah.
so probably, you know, mid 90s. Now,
I just remember the big thing was if you got into Amityville Horror, you had heard about The Exorcist first, and this was the jumping part to, well, you got to check out Amityville Horror. Once you saw The Exorcist in my little circle, check out Amityville Horror. And it was really a back-to-back thing I saw.
Now, when Marty, when you were at the video store, and Jeff, you worked at a video store too?
Blockbuster Video Ventures. I worked first in 1985. Then I worked at Blockbuster in the 99 to 2000.
So we've all worked for Blockbuster
at one point or another. Yep.
Yeah. So
wow, what a difference!
There is now.
There is now, yeah.
So what would you when people would come up and ask what's a good scary movie, what would you suggest?
Well, for pure scare, like not gore scare, definitely The Exorcist. The one with Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland in Venice. I think Don't Look Now it's called. Creepy movie. I can picture myself walking. Actually, let me just look over at the shelves over here and see what else we have.
Actually, that's where Blockbuster went, into your house.
Now, yeah. No, I still have VHS, but not as many as I used to. Obviously, the original Halloween, I think, is a great suspenseful movie. Probably one of the all-time greats.
Have you seen it in the theater?
Yes.
Okay.
And once in a while, when they drag it out for an anniversary showing, I'll go, even though 4 times already I've gone out. It was playing on AMC, but you want that experience. You got to go and enjoy it. And then, honestly, I would recommend some of the older stuff too. Some of the old black and white stuff. Nothing sets a vibe like black and white, especially for creepy.
Yeah. I think October 27th is Halloween. I
thought it was the 31st.
Cinemark. So
yeah,
I think
theaters.
I think we're probably going to go. I've never seen it on the big screen. So, and we watched the. I have the pack of all. I don't know. Was it 5 or 6 of the originals? The one who was it? It's not LL Cool J. Who's the other?
It was LL Cool J. He's in one of them.
Was it LL Cool J?
Yeah, I think he's in one of them. I think he's in the one with the live stream. 2-0,
is that H2O?
No, H2O is the one that Jamie Lee Curtis came back for. And that was the one Kevin Williamson did. It was the one after H2O where they killed Jamie Lee Curtis off in the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then they set up webcams in the Myers house. Because I think he does like Kung Fu against Michael Myers at some point. I've kind of blocked that one out.
Kung Fu fighting. Did they play that song?
Yeah. If you want to talk convoluted continuity, I think Halloween just ekes out Star Trek as far as trying to make sense of timelines and it's out there. It's out there.
Right, because I remember there was
next
one.
Thing you know, it's going to turn to musical.
Yeah, I remember there was one that like I was watching it going, isn't that the daughter? And wasn't the daughter older in the last movie? Maybe did I just watch them backwards? I don't know.
Yeah. It's nothing like having a film franchise where the third one has absolutely nothing to do with the rest
and
of them.
Tell me, that is my favorite.
That is, you know what? If they had taken the Halloween name off of that and called it something else, it would have done 10 times better in the theaters. It's a great movie. Long live Tom Skerritt. Not Tom Skerritt, Tom Atkins, who is also one of my favorites.
Don't kill off Tom Skerritt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. God bless both of them. But Tom Atkins was also in one of my all-time
There goes the
favorites.
internet flying.
Yeah. I'm going to get a call from Skerritt's people later. Night of the Creeps, which is a great throwback to those kind of alien monster movies of the 50s. He's great in that. Did you see that one, John?
I really enjoyed Rob Zombie's remake, though. That remake Rob Zombie did a lot better than the damn Monsters film he tried to do.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting take. I liked it. I know 2, I don't think was nearly as good as it could have been. He's an interesting filmmaker.
I like the idea of follow the book more. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Start dealing with the psycheness, about being the kid that's disturbed,
Yeah, you get more of a backstory, more of an origin. But then again, I think on some level that also hurt because in the original you had just a 6-year-old who snapped with no explanation. And can we all agree, in no matter what version, Dr. Loomis is a terrible psychiatrist?
Yes.
He probably should not be seeing patients.
Well, that's why he was actually in the hospital. He wasn't. He was not a doctor. He was a patient.
Yeah, he'd walk by and they tell the nurses. He's constantly talking about killing his patients. He's carrying a gun. He's a man of science who's obsessed with talking about evil. Yeah.
So we've talked about the Psycho at length. So have you guys seen this one, The Girl Next Door?
One of my personal favorites, by the way. I've never heard of that. No, Psycho, one of my personal favorites. Girl Next Door, I've never heard before.
Mine too. If I'm flipping around the channels and Psycho is on, the whole day stops. The whole day.
And I hate that remake with Vince Vaughn. They should have never done that.
You know what? I don't think it's a great movie.
It's a scene for scene remake.
But I think it's an interesting.
They didn't do anything different.
I think it's an interesting experiment. So as an experiment, I enjoy it, but as a film, not so much.
I just think I think being more creative and reintroducing the storyline is one thing, but creating a film scene by scene, just recreating it, it's not creative whatsoever.
Yeah. I was hoping that, with modern technology, some of the plot holes like tracking her and all that stuff would have been, a little less obvious, but it is what it is. This movie, I have not seen, but I know it's based on a horrible true story of a young. Yeah, it was a young girl in the family who the mother basically tortured and then forced all of her other children to torture until the girl died. It's just, it's wholly depressing.
Now, how did you hear about it?
Sounds like the Mormons.
Just in the news?
It was in the news. I saw it on, I think Dateline did it in like 2020 and those type of shows. And every once in a while, if you watch like ID, Investigate Discovery, you'll come across this case being done, and it's just a tragedy.
It says loosely based on what is said to be the most terrible crime in Indiana state, Sylvia Likens was tortured and eventually killed by Gertrude Benizewski, 1965.
Yeah.
It's got a 6.5 on IMDb.
Is that Kira Sedgwick?
I'd rather see the documentary behind it.
Yeah. It's to me, when you start involving children and stuff like this, I don't. It could be the best movie in the world. I'm just on some level not going to find it entertaining, because, as a parent, these are the kind of monsters that you fear about,
right.
and you tell your kids there's no such thing as monsters, and then you realize what a disservice you're doing to them, because there are monsters out there. They just, Wolfbane doesn't work on the kind of monsters this world has.
Right.
Well,
and that's why.
Now, you always had that one kid, that bully in the neighborhood, that you always wondered, man, how does his family let him get away with this stuff? Maybe it's being created within his family. We just never got to see that inside look. And that's what I think about a lot when I hear about these children who grow up to become mass murderers. And there's also times, when I read, because I did an extensive study on mass murders when I was writing The Raven, and I was really intrigued on how family, normal as can be, then the child goes loopy, left field, and they're just beside themselves on how they became this animal.
And I think the best example of that would be Jeffrey Dahmer. If you've ever seen any interview with his father, the most loving,
they're
kind
heartbroken
human being I think I've ever seen, and your heart breaks for him. And you see and you see like the videos of when they were younger and the old 8mm films, and what a normal life and what a normal child, and there's no discernible trauma. And then, you come to realize that some monsters are products of their environment, and some products are just born that way. Some monsters are just born that way.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart goes out.
They also said that he would kill animals out of enjoyment.
When he was younger, yeah.
Well, so basically what you guys are saying is that kid from Toy Story is going to be a psycho.
Psycho Sid, yeah.
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 Only in New York, though.
You never notice him.
So here's one, The Conjuring.
Yeah. This is the Warrens, right? Is this Ed and Lorraine Warren?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yep.
And then she was on that show on what is it, A&E? The Paranormal State. Right, that was her.
Yeah, I think so. I know a little bit about the Warrens. Some people praise them, some people despise them. I know that they worked with the church, although the church has never fully kind of said yes, they did. But I think there's enough credible evidence. I think part of what they did was scam, and I think part of what they did was real. I think what they did was real, but what they did was enhance that reality. They were doing enhanced reality before it was a thing.
I just think they're trying to make a buck, but also trying to do the right thing. But greed took over, I believe.
In the end, sure. Absolutely. Yep. Because they would start doing the talk shows, and they would start doing, here it is, Deranged.
Yep.
And all I could think of is poor Kevin McAllister when I see that. Look how young he was.
So that's him, right?
That's him. Yep. Also was in Christine, if my memory serves.
Roberts Blossom. That's his name, right?
Yep. He sold the car in Christine.
So it says, ever loved someone so much you kept their body even after their death. This 1974 movie is exactly about that. It is inspired by the life of America's most notorious serial killer and grave robber, Ed Gein. So,
yep, I stumbled upon this.
Wasn't there also another guy that? But wasn't there another guy that fell in love with a woman, and she died of disease, and he just kept her, well,
mummified.
I guess we call it text. Yeah, and he wound up being buried next to her when he died, if I remember right.
If I remember the story correctly, I think he was her doctor.
Yes.
So I given Dr. Loomis a run for his money. Yeah, he was her doctor, and after she died, he put her in his bed. He made her up. He did what he could to keep her
together.
That's kind of like Psycho, right? Because didn't he keep his mom in the basement?
Upstairs, in her bedroom.
It was in her bedroom. He hid her in the fruit cellar when he thought the authorities were closing in.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what's cool? I was able to see the movie props of Psycho.
Oh, really?
And that little skeleton and the rocking chair. Oh, yeah. It came to the Wee Museum back in the 90s. And they had that, the aliens props and stuff. So it's like a whole movie behind the scenes props thing. But the one thing about the Psycho, the lady in the chair, I looked at her deep. I mean, it's not big. She was a small woman, but man, that thing was detailed. It blew me away.
Yeah, it's still effective. What, 60 something years later? I mean, you know, it's still horrifying when, as I like to refer to it as, the rocking chair on the Lazy Susan does its slow turnaround, and you see it, you're like, it's still very shocking. Still kind of is a smack in the face.
Well, I appreciate the original, and then when Psycho 2 came out, it's like, hey, he's getting released, you know, everything's all cool. And once again, Meg Tilly, big fan. I think she was a diner waitress there. And then the third one, he went back to his old ways. And then the fourth one, I believe he was better again. But then he started talking about his crimes on the radio. I'm not 100%.
The fourth one it kind of goes into how Norman became who he was. The second one's a great movie too. I really enjoy that one. And it has so many connections to the first one. Meg Tilly is a waitress, but then we find out halfway through she's actually the daughter of Lila Crane and Sam Loomis, who own the hardware store. So
they're trying to make him go back crazy.
Yes, they're incensed that Norman got out, and they're trying to make him go crazy again, which I thought was a great.
And that was an excellent.
Yeah, that one is great. And then, so we had that twist, and then we had the twist at the end with the lady in the diner who turned out to be his actual biological mom.
Yeah, and then cutting the bread for him, and I remember that scene.
Yeah, and he smacks her with the shovel, and you're like, here we go again. So,
yep. I never saw that one.
I haven't seen that one either, but I think it's also loosely based on the same exorcism story that William Peter Blatty based his book on.
This is based on the life of Annalise Michael or Mitchell, who was possessed by demons so strong that her exorcism took nearly a year to accomplish. It was one of the most famous exorcism movies, and it is all real. That's what they say.
And that, what you're seeing there, is not a special effect. The actress could actually contort in that manner. And I have seen clips from it. She does some amazing stuff that you're like, how can you do that to your body?
Like those ones that turn over and walk upside down?
Yeah, do spider walks and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I can't get out of a chair without assistance right now. And
yeah.
Not a clue. I haven't seen that one either.
No, this one. I see. I put this one on the list.
You're going to the deeper level.
Well, this is the top, the top 25, and this one here is number 18, and it stars Eric Bana. So I figured at least one of you guys would have seen a movie with Eric Bana in it.
I don't know who he is. Name something else he's in.
The Hulk.
The first Hulk movie. The Ang Lee one.
Star Trek.
Nero. I think that was the last thing I saw him in, to be honest with you, when he played.
Oh, okay. I see Nero. Okay.
This is what will. It's based on the book called Beware the Night, which is based on non-fictional events. Book yourself in for this. Eric Bana, Edgar Ramirez, Olivia Munn. I don't know why I haven't watched it. And
Olivia Munn's in there? Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah. So, and it also has
She's
Joel
a little high,
McHale,
man.
so that's probably why I didn't watch it, because it's
Joel
got
McHale.
Joel McHale in it. So
Let me write this down. Deliver us from evil. Okay. All right. On my to-do list.
it is only on Netflix, according to this. So
Okay.
who knows
That's
if it's still there?
That's probably why I missed it.
Oh, it's a Netflix special thingy? Okay.
Okay, this one, having read the article, I think the article is inaccurate because it's saying it's an Italian produced thing with alligators. There was a Toby.
What?
Yeah, there was a Toby Hooper movie named Eaten Alive around the same time. You know, the guy who did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I would skip this one because I think the article got it all wrong.
Yeah, I've never seen it, man.
You think so? You think this one's wrong?
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never seen it. So
I think there's probably two movies with similar titles, and I think they just got the description wrong.
hey, wait a minute. Are you thinking about that porno?
Constantly, but no, not in this case.
Chicka chicka bow wow.
All right, so there's one.
John, you're failing me on your sound effects.
There's okay, so here is this is the one from 76. Toby Hooper.
That's where I think there's some confusion. Yeah, this is the Toby Hooper one, which right there is a very young Freddy Krueger. Robert Englund's in this. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, this guy's got a scythe, and yeah, it's not a classic, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't look like a classic.
It's your typical slasher 80s film, you know?
Now, this is one I've always wanted to see, but I've never had the guts to turn it on for some reason.
I only saw it about a year ago. Again, I think reputation precedes it. I think it's a good movie, but I think it's more a procedural investigation movie than it is really what you think it is.
Okay.
But solid performances all around. Good flick. And yes, again, based on a true story.
Can you guess how it would feel to be captured by aliens and lie in a cocoon next to the corpses of other people from Earth? Travis Walton alleges that aliens captured him in 1975, and this movie revolves around what happens to him. Because I remember, like, wasn't the poster like a guy on the mountaintop and a beam of light shining down?
Somewhat suspended off the ground. Just a little bit suspended off the ground in front of his truck. Yes.
Okay.
I can remember that, but I have trouble with my family's birthdays. Okay.
Right. That's because our brains are so full of useless stuff. There's just no more room for anything.
Yeah, but get us all together playing Trivial Pursuit. We'll kick anybody's ass when it comes to entertainment.
That's right. That's right.
Does anybody else think that Annabelle?
Now, here's a movie that I appreciate.
Baker? I can never take this seriously.
I was kind of.
So this is also The Conjuring.
Go ahead.
The Conjuring expanded universe.
For me, I believe the doll was based upon the Charlie McCarthy version back in the day, and that was part of that features, if I remember right.
I thought it was a Raggedy Ann type. As far as how it got presented,
I don't remember. No, you're right. I'm just looking at the features of this one here for the movie. But yeah, the original doll, the real life one, It's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yep. So the producers
What was-
obviously said, "Get me a doll that looks like a $2 whore."
Was it a Roddy McDowell movie? What was the name of that one?
No.
Planet of the
Are you,
Apes?
are you thinking of Magic
Yes.
with Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah.
Is that Anthony Hopkins?
That was a good movie.
That's a great movie.
That was a really good movie.
Anthony Hopkins, Ann Margaret, Ed Lauder, Burgess Meredith is in it.
Yep. Really good cast.
Because I remember
There you go.
I remember this movie.
Oh,
Gosh, it had to have been. So this was 78.
Yeah.
So this
Anybody
was the
trying to
poster.
Practice ventriloquism.
This was the poster in the lobby of the Kings Park Theater when I saw probably Superman.
Yep.
And it scared me. The poster just frightened me. For some, I don't know, this...
The marketing people did his
commercial.
job, man.
That trailer was a commercial, and they would play it after 10 o'clock. So I'd be at night, and I'd be sitting in my room on my little black and white TV, waiting for The Odd Couple to come on. And wow, did this! I think a whole generation of kids around our age were probably scarred by this movie, having never seen it.
Yeah, because I remember that being, for some reason, that is what one of the memories I have of the Kings Park Theater.
Yep.
Is that poster behind the concession stand. And then here's a classic. And they say this is based on a true story. Do you know anything behind the
Well, for me, I personally, growing up, when you watch TV late enough and if you're allowed to, after the national anthem, you got that. And that freaked me out as a kid after watching that movie. I was like, oh, God, I experienced that so many times as a kid falling asleep.
It says this movie is loosely based on the paranormal disturbances Lucille Herman and her family suffered when they moved to their dream home. The family admitted to hearing strange noises and thought it was local teenagers they were playing pranks on them, but it wasn't so.
Was their house built on a graveyard as well, or
sold by the Pathmark guy?
Well, I've never trusted the Pathmark guy in anything he did after that.
Yeah,
because that was such a sleazy move. I think maybe that's why Pathmark went out of business up here eventually.
So,
oh no.
Did you guys have seen this one in theaters?
Yes.
Originally?
Yes.
Where did you? I know where I saw it.
I caught on a re-release. Go ahead, John. Where'd you see it?
Marty, do you know where you saw it?
I think I either saw it at Stony Brook or the Smithtown Theater on Main Street.
It was playing in the Hop Hog Cinema.
Okay.
Remember the Hop Hog movie theater on the corner, right in front of, what was the name of that restaurant?
The one that's been gone forever. What was that?
Yeah,
what was
remember
that one?
right in front. And I think what's there now? Is it? It's a big supermarket now.
That is not Stop and Shop. What is that now?
It might be Stop and Shop.
You mean where Ground Round used to be?
No.
Not at the intersection of 347 and 111, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ground Round used to be there at that intersection, and then.
But that was on the corner.
That was on the corner. Behind that, though, was ShopRite.
Okay. Right.
ShopRite's there now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I saw it in that in the Hop Hog Theater. I saw it, and then I got home and then had to sleep with the radio on for the next 5 years because I could not. I was so scared that silence. If the room was silent, I would not be able to sleep.
And you know what cracks me up though when you watch this? I had to explain to my kids the first time we watched this that TV stations used to go off the air overnight.
Yes.
Which was like complete alien concept to them.
Did you also tell them they used to play a national anthem?
Oh yeah. I explained the whole thing. Like they played the national anthem. Sometimes they would do like a prayer or devotional thing at the end of the night, and then they'd say and I know some stations used to put their address for editorial content they put it like right before the end of the night, like let me get that address again. So if you missed it, you had to stay up, the entire next day to get the rest of the address. Yeah, I love watching movies like this and having to explain to them, well, there were no cell phones. Well, this was pre 911. You had to look up the number to the police.
Right.
Or they see somebody pick up the phone and go, get me Burlington 176. Like, yeah, that's how people used to remember numbers.
Trying to explain Andy Griffin Mayberry, the little rotary.
My kids saw a rotary phone, and I really thought that when my daughter was little, she's 15 now, so I guess she was about 9. She had the cordless phone. I still have a landline. She's like, how do we download ringers into this? And I was like,
oh no,
you can't. And then I was like, although that would be a great idea. Why can't I download ringers into my landline?
Yeah.
You can do it with your doorbells now.
And speaking of Hitchcock, this is a great flick because birds do attack, man.
Well, this is based on a true story.
This has one of my.
You might be attacked by a pack of birds. Well, flock of birds. I have been attacked almost by a flock of birds.
I said something once
they're
and nearly got attacked by a flock of seagulls. The band, not actual seagulls.
Duran took care of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So according to this,
I was a kid, and these grackles started coming on these post lines, and I was walking by, and I was eating a sandwich. Little kid, minding his own business, and the birds started diving down and want my sandwich, and I just threw it, and they all came down.
Oh
Freaked
man,
me out.
you know what?
When I saw this movie, that reminded me of that.
Those crackle birds are the worst.
They're mean.
And they'll just land on your car and stand. They'll like perch on your driver's side mirror and look at you and be like, I'm in control here. You ain't getting in this car.
What are you going to do about it? Right.
That's it. And you know what? Like George Costanza says, we have a deal, but it's not with the crackle birds. I'm just running those things over. But this movie scared. I remember watching this probably on ABC one afternoon on a Saturday with my dad, and this movie freaked me out.
Yeah, this again, very, very effective. I think it has my all-time favorite edited sequence with the fire and the close-ups of Tippi Hedren's head turning in every direction, intercut with the fire going down the lines with the gasoline. I think it's a brilliant scene. And this is one of the things I always wondered of all the movies that we've talked about so far. This seems like the one that lends itself most to a modern remake. Because you could get the environmental angle in. You wouldn't have to worry about the bird wrangling. You could CGI them in. I mean, even just looking at this still, if you look in the background at some of the black dots there that are supposed to represent birds, I think they could really, really kind of up what they could do with this. And like I said, I'm very surprised they haven't done a remake.
Don't give them ideas.
I'm glad they did. Because, dude, Hitchcock is the master. I don't care who you are. When you start trying to redo Hitchcock, I start tuning it out because I know it's not gonna come out good.
Well, they did do a sequel to this.
To the Birds.
Hold on.
Birds 2 Land's End. It was originally supposed.
Oh God, that was terrible.
Yeah,
I remember now. Oh no.
It was supposed to be.
Dude, really?
It was supposed to be released theatrically, and I think it wound up going direct to Showtime.
Direct to video. It was on video when I saw it.
Directed by Rick Rossovich, who
Really?
Yeah, I think he directed it, if I'm not mistaken.
Who was he? He was in Top Gun, right?
Yes, he was in Top Gun. Yes.
Is this it? No.
This was better.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
Let's see. Because Rick Rossovich was. It doesn't even come up on IMDb.
Hey, Marty, I gotta ask. It's been bothering me. That Bates Motel thing you got in the background. Where'd you score that? That looks cool.
I've had that for about 15 or 20 years. And honestly, I just took it out of the. I don't even put it up at Halloween anymore because it's so fragile. It's just vacuum formed plastic with regular bulbs running through it. Yeah, I don't remember where I got it from, but I know that I ordered it online somewhere. It's funny because I was just thinking.
Cool.
I was just thinking somewhere out there somebody's got to have a modern one with decent LED in it. Because they do wonders with that LED neon.
I want to see I want to see good neon.
Yeah,
I want to see the neon version.
I've seen them online, and they ain't cheap. That's for damn sure.
They ain't full size either.
There are some that come pretty damn close. They're big. You know, you probably get killed on the shipping, but yeah. Actually, you know where I think I got that? Now that I think about that, I think I got that at either Party City or like a Spirit Halloween pop-up.
I'll be on the lookout. Looks cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry.
That's a tin
My
song.
allergies kicked my butt.
God bless you.
Thank you. I enjoyed the Bates TV show with that kid. They became that, bad doctor. I guess I can't remember which.
The Good Doctor.
I didn't watch it, but I did. The Good Doctor. Okay, I enjoyed the TV show he was part of, and it killed me that they didn't continue it. They left it pretty much.
Yeah, Bates Motel. Yeah, that was a good show, and I thought Vera Farmiga was fantastic in that as Norma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what your sign reminds me of. Is like the image from the title card from the Bates Motel TV show. I guess that's where they just took it from. I guess I don't know.
Well, that was the sign that was out front.
Right.
Yep.
So, do you guys have any?
Now, C4 as a remake goes, that was pretty cool.
Do you guys have?
I thought it was interesting because it added more to the lore. I like things that expand. Shot for shot remakes, or just like that not Friday the 13th. Even Friday the 13th remake, which a lot of people didn't like. I liked because it expanded a little bit on the lore, and like Jason had these tunnels underground, which would explain how he got from point A to point B so quickly. I like that. Oh, yeah. I like that a lot. And I know a lot of people had problems with that, but he was more of an actual predator hunter than
person.
Like when he had the one guy stabbed and he was screaming outside trying to get the others to come out. It was like, oh, all right. I see what they're doing here.
I dig.
Now, was that an anthology, or was that
which one?
The TV show.
Jason in Space.
Jason in Space. Yeah. The best part of that movie is when
it went on for too long.
when they're on their, for lack of a better word, their holodeck. And sorry, I got a power issue here, guys. Hold on a second.
See, I've never seen Jason X.
I don't watch it. I didn't. I got maybe 25, 30 minutes into it, and I just checked out. Now, after that became Jason versus Freddy, and that's when I was like, okay, now we're talking.
And was that the last one?
In my mind.
Well, there was.
I'm pretty sure it probably made another one. I don't know.
Those were the Jason X, and the one previous to it were the ones that New Line did after Paramount sold them the rights. And Jason X, yeah, that's the problem. After Jason Takes Manhattan, I know it sounds ridiculous to say the quality dropped off, but there something was definitely lacking.
Williams Manhattan.
So not to ruin it for you, John, but there's a great scene in Jason X in the future where once Jason is, for lack of a better word, Borgized, and is on their version of the holodeck, they recreate Crystal Lake circa 1980, and there's just a hysterical scene with two young girls who take their tops off, and they're like, let's smoke marijuana and have premarital sex, because they're trying to distract him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like looking at them, and he just runs the machete through them, and they do that distorted wiggle thing because they're holograms. But that's the highlight of that movie.
I should have watched it longer then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 30. You checked out at 35 minutes. That's actually minute 37.
There's very few. Yeah, there's very few movies I'll check out in the middle of. Like I stick with it till the bitter end.
No, there are movies that I just, if you don't catch me in the first 5 minutes, I'll be like, well done, I'm out.
Well, I'm kind of forcing myself. I was talking with somebody last year, saying, "Oh, you must have seen every movie ever made," and I said, "No, there's a lot out there that I haven't seen." And they were like, "You should keep a list for the year." And I was like, well, hello there, New Year's resolution. So I've been keeping a list of every movie that I've watched that I have never seen before, and just filling in my gaps. And it's all kinds of movies, you know, and all kinds of genres, all kinds of years. And I'm going to publish it New Year's Eve. And then probably, and I'm going to do it probably next year too, because it's amazing that I'm like looking at going, I can't believe I've never seen this. I can't believe I've never, like, things that I know and things that I can quote from I haven't seen, just because it's been out there in popular culture. And I was like, I gotta try and get caught up here. So
yeah, we were doing that with something sort of similar, but I can't remember what it was that we were like, you know, we haven't seen this, so let's watch this. We haven't seen, let's give this a shot. And usually we just turn it off.
See, man, for me, I forget. So I'm like going, this sounds, I know I've seen this, and I'll start rewatching it, and the whole thing will be like for the first time. But after the end of the film, I'm like, yeah, I did see it. But it's amazing how Alzheimer's kick in, man.
Yeah, I've done that too, going, this is just like another movie I saw, and then you get a little further into it and go, wait, maybe this is the same movie now that I think about it.
Yeah, what was that movie with the big shark and Jason Statham? I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen Meg 2. Did you see Meg 1? Yes, I've seen Meg 1. Well, then you've seen Meg 2. So
well, speaking of sharks, that was a glaring omission on that list. Jaws is based on a true story.
Meg? Or Jaws?
No, Jaws. Yeah. Jaws is based on a true story, the 1960s Jersey Shore shark attack. Mm-hmm. And when I read that article, I actually wrote it down here. That's what reminded me. That how could you do that list and leave that one off?
Right, and there's a ton of movies on here that I did leave off. That see if I can bring up that list. So, I mean,
speaking of Jaws, really quick, for me, I read the book before I saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the movie when it first came out. I was not allowed to because the blood.
Sure.
I read the book after I saw the movie, and the book is so much better.
Oh,
Plus, your imagination is a lot more different.
The book is a great read. Just funny Jaws story. When my kids were being picky eaters, I would take the spoon and I would say, "Come on, you got to eat them up like the little Kittner boy," and they would and they would take it off the spoon. Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna have
John,
to watch your
I've
kids.
never seen this one. When did this come out? I've never seen it. Oh, 2007? Okay. I've never seen that. Is this Jurassic Park meets Jaws?
This looks like it's a crocodile.
Oh, I thought it was
alligator,
like a dinosaur looking thing.
Yeah, it looks like crocodile territory, so it's got to be, since it's a crocodile, got to be in Australia.
This one, I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, these are some of the ones that I left off the list.
That looks interesting, though.
Dead Ringers, I've
before
seen
that.
Years ago.
Bless you. You've seen Dead Ringers?
Years and years ago. I think this got remade too, if I'm not mistaken, or is being remade.
Yeah, quit remaking shit. You just need to leave stuff alone sometimes.
They gender swapped it.
Yeah, that's creative.
That's just the current Texas temperature. Moving on. All right, I've seen Black Christmas, and when I saw that this was based on an actual story, I was like dumbfounded.
So you've seen? Is this one of the ones from your list?
I've never heard of it.
It's basically they're getting obscene phone calls and the people go missing and the killer's in the house, sort of thing, and it's a very weird tone movie. You know, some of it is like a drama, some of it is like a horror, but it has pretty good stars. And wow, John Saxon was in it. I didn't realize how many of these movies John Saxon was in.
Mm-hmm. Margot Kidder.
He was big in the 70s.
John Saxon was the best.
Yep.
The Golden Glove. I thought it was a movie about Keith Hernandez, but
yeah, this movie is a
heard of that
retelling of the heinous murders he committed. True life notorious serial killer Fritz Hunke in Hamburg's red light area. So I don't know. Is this kind of like Hostel?
So he was killing prostitutes, I guess, red light area.
Maybe.
Honka burning love. Go ahead, thanks. You know I can't resist them.
So we have the.
I like the Mothman Prophecies. That was really good.
That was a pretty good flick. Yep.
That's another one I haven't seen.
You're making your list, right, John?
That's next year.
Assign watching.
Oh.
So this one.
I caught most of this. It was actually pretty good, I thought.
I never saw that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a. I think we watched this one. I know Lisa
The
probably.
Craigslist Killer? I've never heard of that. That looks interesting.
That kind of feels like a Lifetime movie. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, it just looks like a Lifetime.
Just based on the font alone, it looks like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, and that looks like, who's the guy from Facebook? It should be the Facebook killer.
Oh, no.
This I never heard of.
And that's Eli Roth.
And Ty West. So
You got your notes?
yeah. Again, Toby Hooper.
This is the movie. This is what kind of the sequel to the Tim Allen show.
Yep, you know the killer's coming because you hear right behind you.
Yeah, so the rest of these I've never heard of, so.
Yeah, neither I.
Yeah.
Okay, here, where is the Annabelle doll now? The Raggedy Doll is housed in the Occult Museum of the Paranormal Investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The doll has a movie franchise to her name and has played the antagonist in the Conjuring series.
Seriously, you got to ask them, why are you collecting these things in one location? Shouldn't these be spread out? Why is all this evil stuff here?
Well, yeah, isn't that like...
Well, they're collectors.
You know, like it's Star Trek, or was it Picard, where they keep all that stuff in that one where Geordi works. The whole thing is just it's got every ship, every piece of technology.
The Fleet Museum, yeah.
Yeah.
I got
No. It was the
Section 31 area.
Yeah, where they had Kirk's body and
Killer Tribble.
The Killer Tribbles, yeah. and Moriarty was there to hanging out.
The only thing I really wanted to see was the Ark of the Covenant in the background going, oh, come on, guys. You really got everything here.
Right. It should have been there.
Shatner's wig, just...
Well, that was the Tribble. That's how it
latched on with the teeth.
That's why it never came off in a fight scene, because it had those teeth and so.
You know, it's amazing. I've watched that show since I'm 5 years old, and only recently have I noticed how glaring that piece is on him in some shots. When it goes from dark brown to sandy brown up here, it's like they didn't even make an attempt to color match.
Well, but it's not George Lucas. They don't keep going back to fix things. So.
But they did. We got remastered on those.
Yeah.
But they didn't fix James R. Kirk, which I still can't understand why they didn't fix that.
Yeah. So any other movies that you know of, or suggestions for horror movies for this Halloween that you think folks should go see? Favorite horror movie of all time?
You know what? When it comes to Halloween, I kind of have varied tastes with this. One of my all-time favorite movies, vampire movie. It's got a reputation for being stupid, but Blackula. The original Blackula, okay, hear me out, is a great movie. It suffers from having a silly name, but it's fantastic. So I will probably watch Blackula on Halloween. Has anyone ever seen it?
I have not.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
So
I'm familiar. Never seen it.
William Marshall, who did everything in the 70s, he was on Pee-wee's Playhouse. He was the king of... He played Dr. Richard Daystrom in Star Trek The Ultimate Computer.
Okay.
The guy with the big... He plays an African prince who goes to Transylvania to ask for Europeans' help ending the slave trade, and he winds up at guess whose house. And Dracula then basically kills his wife and bites him and curses him, where he stays for 500 years until the coffin is picked up by two interior decorators wanting it for a Halloween party, and he's brought into modern LA. And it's
prefer updated versions. If I watch Psycho, then Psycho 2, skip 3 and go to 4 because I like the idea of talking on the radio late at night about his crimes.
Yeah, they're all good. Psycho 3 is a little sleazy. And I think that's the one that Tony Perkins directed.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah, it didn't advance the story. It didn't really do anything.
Now, have you seen that? Have you seen that documentary? 50. What is it? 54 seconds or 52 seconds?
The one on the shower scene.
Tell me more.
Yeah, I haven't.
Is it about the making of Psycho? Maybe.
It was about. Was it 54? Oh, 78, 52, 78 frames, 52 seconds or something like that.
I was really, the way he filmed that scene was so iconic.
And this is, 78:52, Hitchcock's shower scene. And this is done by Alexander O'Philippe, who's the guy that did the Alien documentary called Memory.
And
I gotta check it out then. I've never seen it.
And really, with that scene, it is his wife Alma, who made all the suggestions for the cuts and worked on it with him. And I don't think she ever gets enough credit for his success, especially with Psycho.
Yeah, I haven't.
John, where's your go-to Halloween movie?
Well, mine is probably one of my. It's my favorite Halloween film. I go to it every year. I saw it in the movies as a kid. I loved it, and when I finally saw it again when it was on streaming, I remembered how great it was because it had everything. It had all your monsters in it.
Oh, I know what he's gonna say.
And it's the Monster Squad.
I remember that one.
Have you seen the documentary on this
one? Blockbuster. Never heard of that one.
Yeah, there's a documentary on this one too, John, called "The Wolfman's Got Nards." That's definitely worth checking out. And Shane Black wrote it, huh? I never realized that. Who I think would later go on to do the Lethal Weapon movies. I think he did Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3. Was in Predator, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, I believe he was the guy that told the joke.
The Echo joke, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a great flick.
For some reason, this reminds me of that Transylvania something 9000 with Jeff Goldblum, I think it is.
Transylvania.
That reminds me of that kind of film.
Actually,
there you go. I like it. It's a classic.
And I have to tell you, I think one of my favorite Draculas of all time is in this movie. Duncan Reiger knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, this one is this is my go-to horror. And here,
do you have that disc set?
I'm gonna have to watch this now. Where it's Oh, it's on.
Wolfman's got nards.
It's on Plex, so that's going to go in my watch list on Plex.
There you go.
Wolfman's got nards, and we all have nards. And I want to thank these 4 nards that joined us tonight. Marty, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for
pleasure.
Thanks for being on. Thanks for bringing your knowledge. I knew when Jeff suggested this, I said to myself, "There's only one person that is going to have as much knowledge as Jeff," because I'm an empty vessel when it comes to basically horror movies. Actually, I'm an empty vessel when it comes to anything. So, yeah, I knew you were going to have some cool insights, and just to hear that, oh yeah, this was that one, and this is the story of I saw this, and then I just knew I knew you had to be in on this. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Wouldn't miss it for the world. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Marty.
I would.
Jeff, always a pleasure talking with you too, man.
I'd like to have you come back for. There was something that I don't know what I sent you the other day, but there was some idea that I was working on. I think it was about movies and growing up as a kid and where we saw them, and what video store we rented them from before we actually worked for a video store.
Yep.
Now, do you remember? Because what set me off was we were talking about. I was talking to a friend of mine about little mom and pop video stores, and one came up on my. You must be from Long Island, and I got to thinking of some other ones, but there was one that before Mega Movies, before Blockbuster, there was one on Vets Highway across from PC Richard. It was a little, and the guy reminded me, the guy behind the counter reminded me of Mr. Wizard, the original Mr. Wizard.
I could picture him, and I think we only went there a couple of times, and then on Main Street, Kings Park, they opened up Kings Park Commuter Video, and we wound up going there a lot for a long time.
Because that was one of those video stores that, you walk in the door, and then right there on the left are those saloon doors that every kid wanted to walk through, but you were just too afraid to go through. But that's what I'd like to do is maybe talk about old movies and where we saw them, whether it be what theater it was in, because I called myself an empty vessel, but I think I'm full of where did I see that movie? Because I can sit down and watch anything with the kids and be like, yeah, you know where I saw that? You know where I saw that movie? Oh, I remember seeing that movie. I remember waiting outside for 3 hours to see that, this was a single theater, and then they made it into a twin.
I do the same thing. Every time we go down to Jersey, we go past this business district where my aunt lives, and I go, you see that theater, kids? And like in unison, they're like, that's where you saw Batman in 1989, the night it came out. Oh, I've mentioned that before? Yes, that's where I saw Batman in 1989, the night it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, Batman for me was in the Schuylkill Hill Mall in Pennsylvania. My friend Tom and I were visiting his mother in Pennsylvania, Tom. And we went opening weekend to the Schuylkill Hill Mall and saw it at the theater there. So...
yeah.
Well, see, you guys got something on me because I grew up in a time when there was no, little places to rent videos. I was working for Video Concepts, which sold electronics, and we had some movies for $79 a piece to buy, but you could also rent them. And that was the first time I heard about a rental before working for Video Ventures, which is the year later, and that was an actual video store. But once again, mom and pop, like you guys were talking about, way before Blockbuster.
Yep. One of my favorite video store memories was the mom and pop store I used to work with was called Mega Movies, and Blockbuster bought out their 12 locations. So I walked in, and my boss Jeff says to me, "I need your help. Come this way." And he drags me into the swinging door adult section. So I'm like, "What are we doing in here, boss?" And he's like, "We have to get rid of all of these tonight." I'm like, "What do you mean get rid of all of them?" He's like, "We got to get rid of all of them. You have to help me pack them up." I go, "What are we doing with them?" He says, "I have to send them back." To who? He's like, "It doesn't matter. We just can't have them anymore." So I literally, he's like, "Can you help me tonight?" Yes. So we stopped renting that day, which was great because the regular people who came in were really annoyed. "What do you mean I can't get this?" And John will tell you, some of the people, when I would work an 8-hour shift, or especially when I worked a longer shift, open up at 10, they would come in, go to the doors, leave, come back at 12, return tapes, go back into the doors, leave, come back at 4. Like every 4 hours they were renting tapes. So I just remember we loaded up the back of his little hatchback, right? Didn't even put him in boxes. And we went to his mom's house, right? And he's like, "I need help. This has got to get done tonight." So it was me and him and his dad and his mom taking them out of the plastics and putting them into the cardboard sleeves, with his mother going, "Double Anal Volume 7. Jeffrey, were there 7 volumes of this?" "Mom, please don't look at the boxes. Just please stuff them." And I spent like 3 hours compiling them to send off to
embarrassed.
Probably the Section 31 warehouse that has everything else.
Yeah. It took you 3 hours, which would normally be an hour job.
Yeah. And I just remember, "Do you want any of these?" I go, "No, I don't want any of these." I said, "I know who rented them, and I've got bad memories attached to all these." But yeah. And then the swinging doors came down the next day. But yeah.
Well, let's do that, John. Let's do a video of us talking about the video store next.
Yeah, that's the plan. I remember meeting David Prowse at Video Shack. Have you ever been to Video Shack on Route 110 across from the mall?
Yep, there was Video Shack, and then there was 112 Video too, which was the go-to place for obscure and genre films. They had everything, and the guy at 112 was also not afraid to go to conventions, pick up bootlegs, and put them out and rent them, which was great. There were some really classic mom and pop video stores that were out there, and it's a shame that at the end Blockbuster and Hollywood Video were the last two. One was worse than the other, and their failure to adapt to DVD is what killed them. By the time
Blockbuster tried it too late, though.
Yeah, way too late in the game. Way too late in the game. And I remember going in there right before they closed, and it was driving me crazy because I knew how rare some of those tapes were, and I'm like, why are they getting rid of this? You're not gonna. And I that's the VHS I have now is stuff that never got legitimately released
or returned.
Wow.
Or returned, yeah. Oh, a horror story.
Well, I tell you what, I did like that documentary they did, The Last Blockbuster on Earth, where they talked about a lot, the filmmakers, including the guy from did the Toxic Avengers on there. I mean, that was a class act, documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I still have my Blockbuster manager pin, and somewhere down here I have my old black and yellow Mega Movie shirt.
Really? Yeah,
Yep.
no, I
Nice.
don't. The night I got in my car accident, that's when I went back. They were like, "Oh, you still work here?" I was like, "Well, I thought I did."
Yeah. Well.
So, Jeff, what do you got coming up on the Collector Zone this week? I know.
More video games.
Oh,
man, I love video games. It's like springs, but video games. But yeah, I'm on this kick, and I have this video coming up. Did you know they made a new version of Robotron?
Did they really? Wow. All right. So
modern day
keep an eye.
Modern day Robotron.
keep an eye out for that. And I know who makes the tiny video games? New Wave Toys,
New
right?
Wave Toys.
The little
and,
guy? Yeah.
There's another one too.
Yeah,
New Wave Toys is cool. They're really good at making them the 1/6 scale, but I'm into the little bit taller ones, the 1/4 scale. That's who did that one? I have two over here in the closet. Don't remember, but yeah, they make a bigger version. They're all both made of wood and metal, plastic. I mean, it's built the way the originals are, and I like that. And they play just perfectly fine, just like the arcade.
Yeah, and you see, New Wave now has cigarette machines that are USB power supplies.
They're trying to bring that back.
Yep, I saw that.
I still think the police. Was that Marty?
I came up on my Facebook newsfeed. I was like, I thought it was full scale, and then I was like, wait a second. And I was like, oh, it's a miniature. Holy cow, look at that.
It's 1/6 scale.
Yeah.
So if you got your figures, you can put them with the arcades. That's what most people do. They do little dioramic things with their GI Joes and whatnot.
That's pretty neat. So we got you guys got that to look forward to this week on the Collector Zone. That would be the, how do you spell that? Collector's Zone. No, youtube.com/the Collector Zone, right?
Yep, the Collector Zone, no apostrophe, just an S and zone.
Right. So,
and you can find me on Facebook at the Master of the Zone. But you know that because you've been following the Geek and I, and we've been tagging each other in videos and stuff. So you find one, you find the other.
Yep. Yeah, the program tonight. We will see you next time on the Geek and I podcast. We will talk soon. Tomorrow I will be on Geek News Now talking the finale of Ahsoka, and what in the words of Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park, that's one big pile of shit. So we'll see you. We'll see you again on the Geek and I podcast coming up. Also, we have more reactions to the classic TV show Soap. Hope you're enjoying those, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.
Peace out.
Catch you next one. Layers.